What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. And if the voice sounds a little dry, a little crackly, I am fresh out of Atlanta. Flight landed a few hours ago, got home, dropped some stuff off, had to run a quick errand, and decided I would crank out the weekly sports card market update late on a Sunday afternoon. Gonna hit on the normal weekly stuff. I'm gonna hold most of the Atlanta stuff for probably at least 2 separate videos, most likely Monday and Tuesday. So we'll just kind of do the normal charts and graphs things today. I will quickly say, though, the Atlanta show was a ton of fun. Met a ton of fantastic people. If you came up and said hello, thank you very much. Whether you're a content creator, a viewer, whoever. Got to put a lot of faces with names. Got to hang out with a lot of people that I've had the privilege of hanging out with before, and a bunch of people that I've been talking to for a few months now that I've never had a chance to meet in person. All of that was absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I don't want to get too deep dive into the Atlanta stuff, so I'll hold that. I'll probably do a specific Atlanta vibes video, if that makes sense. What was moving, what was shaking. The semi, I wasn't really set up as a dealer, but hung out behind the table for a little bit. Just all that sort of stuff will probably be tomorrow's video. And then Tuesday's video, I'll do a transactions video of what I did, what I bought, what I sold, what I traded for, all that sort of stuff. So I'm sure every content creator in the world is going to be putting out tons of Atlanta content this week. But as I stated before, it was fantastic meeting all the viewers, all the content creators, all the Marvel guys. Shout out to everybody. I would be here for 20 minutes just listing names. You all know who you are. Some surprise guests that I wasn't expecting to meet. Just all sorts of great stuff. So, but like I said, I'll hold the Atlanta stuff for a separate video, either Monday or Tuesday. With that being said, let's get a quick word from our sponsor at MySlabs.com. I'm going to try to keep this one short today because I am old. I am an old man, and these big shows remind me that though I am only 41, it was more the flights than the shows, but once again, we'll talk about that in tomorrow's video. So let's hear a quick word from our sponsor, MySlabs.com, home of 1% buyer and seller fees plus PayPal goods and services, and now home to raw cards and comic books and lots. So go check out those new features that they have just recently added. And then let's go ahead and dive into our video after we hear a quick word from them.
Tired of paying 10%, 15% or more to sell your cards, comics, and digital collectibles? How does 1% sound? Too good to be true? Well, not anymore. MySlabs.com is the web's premier user-driven marketplace for buying and selling slabbed cards, sealed wax, and now slabbed comics and digital collectibles. So the next time you're forced to pay 10% or more to sell something from your collection, head over to MySlabs.com and join the 1% revolution.
Once again, thank you to our friends at MySlabs for sponsoring today's video. Let's lead with baseball, and I'm going to preface this by, once again, I am recording early to mid-afternoon on Sunday. As of right now, there is no significant status change in the world of baseball. Monday is the deadline to not cancel games. We will see what happens. I feel like baseball cards are kind of waiting to see what the MLB owners and players do before doing anything. I will give a brief Atlanta anecdote here. There was a ton of baseball on the show floor. I probably saw more baseball and higher end baseball on the show floor than I have seen at any other show. Other than the national, obviously, but my local shows, Shipshawana, which I was at, there was an abundance of high-end baseball, or just baseball in general, but a lot of nice baseball, both vintage and modern. But once again, we'll kind of talk about that more earlier this upcoming week. But generally speaking, on the modern side of things, your Acuñas, your Tatisas, your Vlads, your Sotos, that kind of stuff, Bichettes, other than Wander Franco. And even Wander Franco, for the most part, is kind of like this too for his first Bowmans and stuff. The market's just kind of flat. We've been talking about this for weeks now, but it's continuing on. The market's just not really doing anything. In some places, it is ever so slightly trending down. In some places, it is ever so slightly trending up. But there is no major movement up or down for a most part. Once again, I'm painting with a very broad brush here, so, dig into the weeds if there's something specific that you're looking at. But generally speaking, the baseball market has been just kind of like meh. I feel like it's holding its breath, waiting for something to happen one way or the other. We'll see. I will be very curious if they come to an agreement tomorrow. Do card prices spike based off that? Is there all of a sudden a mad rush? Because we are going to get a flurry of free agent activities once everything's signed. Probably some deals, a lot of player movement, and player movement a lot of times can generate interest in the sports card market or spike prices or whatever. We'll start to get health updates. How healthy is Acuna? Coming off his ACL, that sort of stuff. Does Bobby Witt make the opening day roster if he has a really good spring? What does spring training look like? All that jazz. If Wander Franco has a really hot spring training, does that bump his prices? Who knows? But yeah, I pulled up just a couple here. This is Tatis, Ohtani, and Acuna's. Just base refractor. Nothing crazy. And you can see, kind of like I said, not doing a whole lot. And this is looking at 60 days worth of data. So we're going back to basically the end of January. I'm sorry, 30 days worth of data. So this is essentially encompassing the entire month of February. You can see Tatis's base refractor is at 500, down about 15%. Ohtani's base refractor is at just under 500, down about 12%. Acuna up a little bit, up to 489, up 17%. Once again, kind of what you'd expect. Very little movement one way or the other over the last 30 days. And I could see this going flip-flopping. If Acuna news comes out that he's not going to be ready until July, maybe that hits his cards. And if the season ramps up, maybe the other guys jump up. Who knows? We're all just kind of guessing here. On the higher end and on like Soto's, this is his first Bowman's. PSA 10, PSA 9, BGS 9.5. I went back a little further on this, went back 60 days on this. But once again, you can see since Christmas, very little movement. Right after the season ended, his stuff was on fire, leveled out, and has just kind of held to slightly drifted down a little bit. This is the PSA 10, up 5% since Christmas. PSA 9, down 5% basically since Christmas. And the BGS 9.5, slightly up 8% since Christmas. So not a ton of movement there one way or the other. To me, a 5% or ish swing, really anything under 10%, to me is not a major shift. That could just be a little nuance in subgrades or when the auction ended or whatever. I don't really factor that in as a big move on this stuff. So I basically view that as relatively being flat. And that's even on Soto, who has been pretty hot, in the lead up to or the early parts of the offseason. And then we moved into this post-Christmas phase of, maybe they are going to cancel games. And that continues to loom, I believe. The guy everyone wants to talk about, good old Wander Franco. 2022 Series 1 came out, and, it went about as expected. The those couple PSA 10s hit. The first one went for an obscene amount of money. God knows if it was actually paid for. I see another one sold for around $500, I think, over the weekend. I linked to it. I don't remember what it ended at. I believe it was like right around 500, 485, 525, something like that. And then this is just the base paper. It had its immediate big. There's one day of random sales where it spiked way up. But this thing's basically just sitting at about 10 or 13 bucks a card. In a PSA 10, this is probably going to be maybe $100 card, unless he comes out smoking hot. And it might take a while to get there. These are going to get graded on the PSA population report. People will be sending these in on the $50 economy submission. I don't think these make sense on the $50 economy submissions. You are really playing with fire. I think for $50 in a PSA 10, you'll make money on that, most likely. I mean, you'll definitely make money on that. You're not going to make a ton of money, but you'll make money on it. And this is coming from me, I would almost consider SGCing this to get it back faster and cheaper. Yeah, you might leave a little money on the table, but you're going to get it back in less than 30 days, so you'll have it in hand, assuming, once again, we may know this by the time you're watching this video, assuming the season starts on time. If you SGC this at 30, 25 bucks a card if you use a group submitter, you could potentially have these back for the start of the actual season. And if he would come out hot, you might be able to capitalize on that. Whereas the $50 PSA sub, we don't really know how long that takes yet. There's been some rumblings. I've gotten a few messages, but that's still a great unknown. And I can tell you those are getting slower. I've sent 2 in, and each one has taken a lot longer to check in than the previous one. First one took about a week. The second one took 14 days just to officially check it in from the time that it arrived. The first one's been there, I think, almost a month now, and it's still in grading. So take that for what you will. I'll have a better idea once those start showing a little bit more movement on them. But I think this is a risky one for a PSA $50 sub. I think you'll be able to make money on it if you hit a PSA 10. If you hit a PSA 9, you're toast. That being said, if you hit an SGC 9 on this particular card, you're probably toast as well, because 9s are basically base right now. So there's a bunch of short prints and variations and a whole other Wander Franco nonsense out of Topps 2022. We'll wait and talk about those in a later video. I just kind of wanted to cover this quick base market here because there are a lot of people pulling these. They're fine cards, you know, but there's going to be a metric ton of them. What I was curious about is this Wander hype machine that's been running lately because of Series 1. Has it affected his Bowman Chrome at all? And I went back, and once again, this is a 60-day chart, so this goes to right after Christmas. So I was curious if Franco's first Bowman stuff got a big bump with all the hype swirling around 2020 Series 1 coming out. And so we're looking at his first Bowman Chrome base, the Mojo Box Refractor, and then the actual straight refractor out of $4.99, just to kind of see what they're doing. The base refractor out of $4.99 is up 22%, about a $250 jump there. The base Chrome is up 14%, about a $20 jump, nothing crazy. And the Mojo Box Refractor, it's got the choice looking effect on it, is up $20, 5% jump from the last 60 days. So it's trickled down on his higher end stuff a little bit more, but his mid to lower tier stuff, it's really not moving the needle that much at all. And do keep in mind, this PSA 10 pop on his Chrome base is high. There are already 10,000 of these things, almost 11,000 of these on the pop report. So just buyer beware on that one. If you want a lower end Franco, I would probably at minimum go for the Mojo, just because it's going to be a little bit lower population count. And even that's 3,500 now. So that's nothing to sneeze at, but fairly reasonably priced at 360 compared to the base. I don't like the base for 200. There's going to be a lot of those out there. There's other places I would look for Wander Franco. So that's it for baseball. Once again, the whole world could have changed by the time Monday afternoon rolls around or Monday evening. Hopefully they get this thing figured out. I really do not want to lose games. I don't want to mess around with that. And we'll probably be talking more about the baseball market in general, kind of what I saw boots on the ground at the Atlanta show. But I want this particular stuff to be more data driven, the weekend reviews. I want this to be a little bit more chart and graph data driven versus my personal opinions of what I saw on the show floor. So, and that's going to be skewed because, like, guess what? Ronald Acuna was selling very quickly in Atlanta. Shocking, I know. But I don't think that speaks for the general market as a whole. But once again, we'll talk about that more in Culture Collision videos to follow early this week. Let's pop over to football really quickly. And I just kind of want to look at one thing, a little Burrow-Herbert comparison. This is their base optic, base prism, and optic hollows of both players. And they have really closed the gap on our right in line with each other. Look at the PSA 10 base prism. This is the main one. The Burrow is down slightly and the Herbert is up slightly, and they are basically trading neck and neck, 373 versus 371, which I find a little bit interesting. Burrow stuff still seems to be finding itself a little bit. If you go down to the optic hollows, the Burrow is at 750, the Herbert's at 1050. So that's a little intriguing that the Herbert has jumped up. Now, I will say it's one sale. One sale just happened on Saturday that bumped it to 1050. Prior to that, they were nearly identical at mid to low 700s. So interesting to see. I think it's kind of like how we used to do and we still do, the Zion and Ja comparisons on how their cards are tracking. I feel like Herbert and Burrow are always going to be compared to each other. And as this offseason moves on, it's going to be interesting to see, like, do they stay neck and neck, or does one start to pull away? Or does it depend on, I think news is obviously going to drive it. Both teams have a lot of cap space. Both teams can make a lot of moves. So they both could spike accordingly depending on what type of what type of plays they make in regards to free agency and the draft, etc. So that's a quick football market update. Other than that, things are kind of flat. I need to research it a little bit more. Shout out to Card Ladder, because they're the ones that brought this to my attention on IG, and along with Slab Stocks, I believe, as well. They were talking about the Prism 2017 Patrick Mahomes Silver, and that a lot of them recently have been shilled. I need to dig in and look at the individual auction listings. I'm sure that they are. If they say they are, I'm sure that they are, but I just want to see it for myself. And then I noticed the reason you might say, well, Neo, on this video here comparing Herbert and Burrow, why didn't you include Burrow's silver? Well, I was going to, and I looked, and I didn't like the auction listings on the Burrow silvers. Some of those bids looked a little sketchy as well. So I'm going to hold both those for probably a separate video talking about that. But I did not have time today to get this recorded and dig into that. So that'll probably be its own thing, probably the back half of this week. I want to talk Atlanta the front half and then do that the back half. So if you're wondering why Silver Prism's not included in this list, that's why. I don't know that I trust the numbers. So closing out with basketball, and then I'm going to give my voice a rest and go hit the chair, the big red reclining chair, and maybe get a little nap time in. Generally speaking, the modern basketball market also appears to be flat. There are two guys that stuff is going up, and funnily enough, they are from the same set. James Harden, 2009 base PSA 10, has gotten a nice little run up the last month or so. I went back 30 days on this just to get pre-trade, post-trade. 5 up sold. It is up $500, a 50% increase. And I didn't get to see any of the games because I was in Atlanta, but based off Twitter and what I heard on some podcasts and stuff, those two, Harden and Embiid, looked really good together. So we'll see how this goes. And then right in line with that, also from 2009 Topps, DeMar DeRozan. He is playing out of his freaking mind right now. Just out of his mind. Once again, went back a little bit on this one because this is very low pop. There's only 11 of these on the pop. This is the Chrome. It's numbered out of $9.99, PSA 10, but also up $524. Also a 51% increase on his stuff as well. And in general, his stuff has been heating up as he's going to make an outside shot to get his name. I don't think he's going to win the MVP by any means, but he's making a case to be included on that list, on the 5 finalists for sure. He's probably already on the tail end of it to begin with, and maybe he can make a run at MVP. I don't know. That would be the most out-of-the-world thing ever if you told me that before the season started, but just the fact that he's on the list is insane. He's just playing great. Absolutely fantastic. So with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. Go ahead and keep this one short and sweet so I could go get some rest. Like I said, tomorrow and Tuesday, probably post-Culture Collision videos, as I'm sure everyone else will be doing. One kind of talking show floor vibes. One talking about what, the pickups and plays that I made, etc. Spoilers, I sold a lot. I sold a lot of stuff. So we'll get into that, what I picked up, what I didn't pick up, what I wish I would have picked up, and just some other general market chit-chat. I'm going to try to line up a live stream possibly. I don't know that it'll be this week. I have a very rough week at work this week. Maybe early next week, give everyone time to kind of recoup everything. I'd like to try to line something up maybe with Steve and Kenny Fornos to have on us to kind of talk Atlanta and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens with that. No promises on that one because my schedule the next week to 10 days is going to be a little wild and crazy. So smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll be talking a lot about Culture Collision in the beginning part of this week. So stay tuned for that. Click the little notification bell. That's something that I always forget to mention. And we will catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.